I had shirataki noodles with a homemade marinara sauce made with vegetables and no meat.
What the heck are shirataki noodles?
I'm glad you asked. They are a sort of strange Japanese noodle that is made entirely of yam root. Yes, that's right, yam root.
What exactly is yam root, do you know?
It's the root of the yam plant. Literally, like, yams, sweet potatoes? Yeah, totally. It sounds like it's got mushroom in it because it sounds like shiitake, but it doesn't because I don't like mushrooms and I wouldn't eat that. So they have the texture of kind of like the rice noodles you would get in a Thai soup or something. They're a little bit gummy. They're not like yummy egg pasta, so you can't think of them as actual noodles, like pasta. Mm-hmm. But they hold up to sauce, and they have essentially no carbs, no net carbs, I think, a huge amount of fiber, and very, very low calories. A serving is like, I think, 30 calories or something, and it's all fiber basically, and it acts good? As not by themselves. No, They have absolutely no flavor whatsoever by themselves.
Awesome.
And it's not something you'd want to toss with like garlic and olive oil and use in a yummy pasta thing. But if you have a hearty sauce, like I made this really killer like tomato, onion, pepper, carrot sauce that's really heavy and rich, and so in that it's completely perfect, and it's really good in like a Thai coconut soup or something like that. And it comes in a rice form, which are almost like little tapioca balls that I do a bunch of things with that we'll talk more about. But that was what I had last night. How about you?
So they're good for you, I guess, yeah?
They are very good for you.
Well,
what'd you have?
I'll just start by saying that what I had started at 9 p.m. And you know me, I'm all about eating as late in the evening as possible because I know how much that helps your metabolism, how much that helps you sleep well, and how much that helps digestion. I started out with that ridiculous, horrible jalapeno and cheddar dip that I buy. It's available in your local grocery store. Mm-hmm. Like, I really don't know what it's made of, and I'm sure it's just filled with all that horrible orange dye. Like, it's just the color of orange that I don't think it's a real color orange. So I did that, and then I did that with Tostito chips. Mm-hmm. And that was good, and I finished the whole thing. And then...
Wow.
I had picked up a thing of sushi from the Whole Foods also, so I
Sushi's
had that.
Healthy. That's potentially healthy, right?
Yeah, because I thought, well, I had the cheese dip. I should go for something healthy just to balance it out. And that was a salmon roll, and that was okay, but it was really large, and I ate the whole thing, but God, it was good. And then I had a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream in my freezer that found its way into my belly. The whole pint. It was a tough evening.
Wow.
And I would say that whole process probably took me, I would say, a good hour and a half. So by 10:30, I was really ready for bed.
Yeah, so then you just passed out, right? In a carb coma. Yeah, I've had those carb coma nights.
And it was also one of those evenings where I realized I got to 10:30 and then I'm just looking around at the carnage in my apartment. And I'm like, how the hell did this happen?
Who put this here?
I must have fallen asleep. And I think people came into my apartment and ate. It couldn't have been me.
Of course not, because who would do that? Look, who would do this?
Not I.
No. Hello and welcome to another episode of You Won't Believe What I Ate Last Night. Thank you for joining us. I am Kate DeVore.
Sorry, Kate, I couldn't hear you over the mixing of my smoothie.
Oh.
And I'm Rick Fiore, and this is our ongoing conversation about food, weight management, and our endeavor to be and stay healthy in a really tasty world.
That's right. Today is all about smoothies. What are they? Why are they good for you? How do you make them? And we're going to share with you some of our favorite smoothie recipes.
Hey, Kate, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a smoothie. Are you jealous?
I am a little bit, yes.
They're my favorite, and I know you're a fan of them for breakfast as well.
Yeah,
so
I am.
I thought it would be good for us to talk about them today.
All right. That sounds good.
Yeah. So they are very trendy these days, right? They've replaced juicing. That used to be the big fad. A lot of juicing and juice cleanses. And
right.
Remember Jack LaLanne?
I do remember Jack LaLanne and his damn juicer. Yeah.
I know. I think he lived to be like 150 because of all the juice. So now, however, people are having smoothies. And the difference between juicing and smoothies is that the smoothies go in a very high-powered blender and all of the ingredients get ground up into a liquid and you actually eat or ingest all of it, which means you get all the fiber, you get a whole lot more nutrients instead of just squeezing the juice out. Because anyone who's ever tried to juice greens like kale or spinach knows how little you get for a huge amount and how much waste there is.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons I think they're very popular. The nutrients are absorbed more easily than if you just ate the same things. It's healthy and easy on the digestive system. One of the things we need to be careful of, though, is a lot of times people think they're being really healthy because they're having smoothies and all they're having is a huge glass of fruit juice and fruit stuff. And,
totally.
and not that fruit isn't healthy, but the sugars from a high fruit-based smoothie can actually be tremendously caloric and potentially not so great for your glycemic index. So I had a friend that had been pre-diabetic and he was doing really well and he started juicing a lot and putting a lot of apples in his smoothies and juices in the morning, and he went back to the doctor and his blood sugar was way up again, and the doctor said, what's going on? And he figured out it was the apples and all the fruit that he was ingesting from the juice. So just because it's fruit and just because it's healthy doesn't mean that we necessarily want huge amounts of it.
This reminds me, years ago when I first started trying smoothies, I was going to a large national chain that I won't mention, but they consider themselves the king of smoothies. And I thought, oh, these are so good. And I would eat them or drink them all the time. And I think I'm walking around thinking, oh, I'm so healthy. And then one day I actually paid attention to what they put in them behind the bar. And it's nothing but processed juice squirted into ice and ground up. And I remember being so shocked.
So it's like a snow cone, basically.
Exactly. It's a big old snow cone. And I remember being so disappointed. One, I'm like, oh my God, they're not healthy at all. And I just remember being devastated when I saw that.
Totally. And I think we have to watch out for that. So I think some smoothies in chains and restaurants are healthy and other ones are just capitalizing on the fact that we think they're healthy and they're not necessarily. So depending on the balance that we put in, I think they can be tremendously helpful. Do you have a current smoothie du jour? Do you have something that you're working with and enjoying these days?
No, but I do have a smoothie of the day. No, I'm kidding. I am nice. So here's what I'm doing. So I do in my Vitamix, which is my high-powered blender. I'm doing
Vitamix.
Don't you love Vitamix?
I do. And we definitely would not object to hearing from the Vitamix people because we are big fans of their products and are actually almost cultish about them and have gotten many people to buy them because we talk so much about them. So,
exactly. Do you hear us, Vitamix?
Why is Vitamix better than other blenders, since we're talking about that?
Well, it's high powered, which means everything gets ground really, really well, right? And it's got a strong motor that it doesn't break down. Because when I used to do smoothies in the beginning, I would use a regular blender and I'd go through like 2 blenders a year.
Yeah, it's really actually worth it if you use them a lot. Totally. Yeah. And like if you put hard fibrous things like kale in a regular blender, it doesn't necessarily emulsify it properly and it kind of separates out and it can be gritty and chewy and kind of gross.
Generally disgusting. Yeah. So I'm putting in almond milk. I just put a little bit of almond milk in just to cover the blade. I'm putting in about 2 pieces of pineapple. And then I've been doing kiwi for my vitamin C. I've been doing turmeric and ginger because they're sort of earthy spices, and particularly turmeric is really great inflammatory. Like it just helps bring down the inflammation. Anti-inflammatory. Thank you. It brings down the inflammation in the system. And then
are you using powdered turmeric, or are you actually using like fresh root
turmeric, Kate? I know.
Where do you get that?
Whole Foods.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And
I've
my
never
organic
worked with that. That's interesting.
My organic market or Mom's has it generally. Okay. So I do that, and then I throw in either kale or spinach. This week I've been doing tons and tons of kale. And then I actually throw in just maybe 10 blueberries to help cut the taste of the kale, particularly when I'm using a lot of kale. I do half a banana, and then I've been throwing in flaxseed. That's That's really one of my favorites because it's simple. I feel like it has a lot of the things I need.
Hey, Rick, did you know that grass-fed beef has 2 to 5 times more omega-3s than grain-fed beef. And grain-fed beef has a higher omega-6 to 3 ratio, which means that it promotes inflammation, heart disease, cancer, and other degenerative diseases. So the difference in health qualities of regular beef, like farm-raised beef, and grass-fed beef is really big.
I actually knew that.
That's cool. Hey, Rick, did you know that dried fruit loses 30 to 80% of its vitamins and antioxidants through the process of drying it?
30 to 80?
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty wide spread, I understand.
My God.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. It's not good either way.
Mm-hmm.
And my big thing about smoothies is I've really noticed a difference once I incorporated them into my life. Like, I have not had a major sickness since I started doing smoothies. Like, I may get a little coffee in the throat and I may get a little congested in the chest, but it never goes lower. And I really do attribute that to the fact that I feel like I flood my systems with these vitamins and these nutrients, which I've had never had a history of doing. And it's really the biggest thing I attribute to sort of just staying healthy, particularly through the winter season, because I tend to do them all year long.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just depends. If I want it warm, I'll just let it. I'll let all the stuff come to room temperature. If I want the smoothie to be warm, and then if I want it to be chilly, I'll throw ice in, or I'll take the stuff right out of the fridge and do it right then. So it's also good because it has the ability to sort of be whatever temperature you want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're good. I go through phases with them. I don't necessarily do them every single day, and partly because my go-to one, which I will share with you in a second, takes a little bit of time. So I always feel like it's going to be 5 or 10 minutes, and it's really more like 15 minutes to actually make it and clean everything up and clean the blender and like get it all broken down. And so I feel lazy about it sometimes, but I do feel like Popeye when I drink it, though. I really feel.
You can feel it.
I genuinely feel it, and it is not placebo. Well, even if it were, it's okay. I'm a huge fan of placebo, but I'm really quite certain it's not placebo. I really feel the nutrients coursing through my body. I feel strong. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Okay, here's my regular go-to one. I tend to make ones that are a little sweeter and more palatable for people who aren't familiar with them. So I don't know that this would be a great intro smoothie because it's far more vegetal than it is fruity. So I start with also almond milk, and I put protein powder in these days. And if you use protein powder in a smoothie, it can be gritty. It can have a sandy texture. So I discovered that if I blend up the almond milk and the protein powder first, just give it a little whiz and incorporate it, then it's a lot less gritty in the smoothie. So I start with that.
That's a great tip.
Thank you. And next time I'm actually going to try putting a little cucumber in there too, because I tend to put cucumber in.
I love cucumber, yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be like protein powder cucumber liquid that gets made. So that'll be fun. I'm a big smoothie geek. So I do my almond milk and protein powder, and then I do half an apple and 1 or 2 carrots, depending on how big they are, and a stalk of celery and a piece of cucumber that's 2 or 3 inches probably. Maybe 2 or 3 inches long, and I do a quarter of a lemon, and I usually put a little bit of the lemon peel in, but not the pith. So the peel is the yellow part that when you zest comes off, and that has all the essential oils of the citrus fruit in it, and the pith is the white part underneath it that's super bitter and has no positive flavor at all. It has only bitterness. So I just use my knife to cut a little bit of the peel off and separate it from the pith, and I put that in just for a little extra lemon.
Okay.
I put in a huge amount of ginger. As you and I have discussed, I put in more ginger than any human in the world but me would like.
The ginger you use in your smoothies. You sent me pictures of it. It's like a farm of ginger. It's nuts.
I know. I sometimes send Rick pictures of how much ginger I'm using in my smoothie. I'll just hold it in my hand and be like, this is what I'm about to put in my smoothie. And then cilantro, a big handful of cilantro, which really brightens it up. Huge amount of kale, sometimes spinach if I can't get kale or it's too expensive or it doesn't look good or if I'm out or whatever. And then probably maybe a quarter to a third of a cup of blueberries. Sometimes it needs a little extra water. I don't use ice anymore. I used to use a little agave to sweeten it up, but I don't seem to need that anymore because the only really sweet things in it are the apple and the blueberries and the carrot. But that seems to be enough. And the protein powder actually that I use has a little bit of sweetness in it. So,
nice.
And that quantity is actually enough for 1.5 to 2 smoothies. I can't seem to work it so that it's just one smoothie usually. So I either have some left over if there's no one else around, or I'll have it later in the day or occasionally the next day. And I know people say you should drink it immediately because all the nutrients go away once you leave it to sit. But I feel like surely it's still better than not having it at all.
Absolutely.
If I have it.
Who are these people? Give me their names. I want their names.
I'm going to protect their innocence.
Is she bothering you again? Because I will take her down.
Well, you know how tight she and I are. But yeah.
Well, she is the queen of health.
Yeah. So we encourage you to get on the smoothie bandwagon. Here's the thing. Try one of our recipes. If neither of these recipes does it for you, start with a smoothie made of your favorite items of vegetables, fruits, whatever.
There's also a plethora of recipes on the Yield intranet if you want to find them there.
Next week, we're going to be talking about the power of comfort food. Why is it so good? And what you can do to resist its call.
Again, we want your feedback, so send us your thoughts at youwon'tbelievewhatIate@gmail.com. Thanks.
Thank you.